Hello once again, welcome back to my channel. This is Shades of Made. So we are going to be designing a party flyer today. So this is much more detailed than the previous ones I've been doing. So I will give you an explicit detail, a detailed, an in-depth detail rather. So I would try and explain as much as I can, so you can ask questions after the video, to know where you are, which area you don't understand. So let's start. So what I did first, okay, Control N on your keyboard. I used 100 by 1350. So what I did was to, let me bring in Control C for this. This is a background. I'll be dropping it in the next video. In the description below, I'll be dropping it there. So what I did here was to create. Okay, let me remove this. I've removed the gaussian blur and the blend mode to normal. So you can see that if I remove the blend mode to change it to normal, it will look kind of disorganized. So what you will do is come to your normal here, change the blend mode to luminosity. It will make it a little bit dark. So I added gaussian blur effect to it too. So it will make it kind of blend to the background. So if you come, I use 9.6 as the radius. So if you don't understand how I did the gaussian blur, you come to your filter here, blur, gaussian blur. You can see it's 9.6. Now I would bring in my image. You can see this image already has, let me bring it to this background for you so you can see it well. So it's loading. Sorry. This image here was downloaded online. You can see it has this green overlay by the cheek side. So I thought of blending that particular side to the background. So what I did was I created a new layer here, my foreground color, I changed it. I used the color picker. I tabbed here, so it chose this. You can do it anyhow. Then you can press B on your keyboard for brush, change the blend mode to, let's try linear dot add. You can do that. You can expand it on your keyboard, press Ctrl T to expand behind the image. So you get behind the image, you can expand. You can also duplicate it, Ctrl J, duplicate it, view to move. You can see, you can duplicate it as many times as possible, just so you can get the perfect blend. You can put it anywhere. You can expand. You can Ctrl J again if you want to. Depends on what you want. So it will kind of have that blend. It will make it look like it's reflected. Okay, let me try something else. I'm coming. If I try see this way, you can see that I added one of the overlay. I added it over the image, so you can see that it reflects in kind of, so it looks kind of real here. So that was exactly how I got this particular blend. So it's looking, everything here is looking green. So now for this image, you can see this image here, the background is not really, if I remove this layer here, you can see, okay, let me remove this. You can see that it's looking too sharp at the last edge here. So what I did was I created a layer mask here on the image. I went to my gradient tool here. With my foreground color set to black, I gently brushed like this, gently brush V for the move tool. Now what I did next was to, in my other videos I've taught you guys how to create a shadow here, a black overlay here with gradient tool. So if you've not watched my other videos, let me teach you on how I got this. Let me switch this off. So I'll create new layer here above the image. Change this foreground color to black by clicking this. You can see it here. It has changed to black. Come to your tap once on your gradient tool here. Click on this. Now gently brush up. So you can't see the sharp edges again. It's all gone. So you can decide to expand and to duplicate it, or you can reduce the opacity just to have your feel of the design. So let me put this back here. So now I added more light to the image by using camera raw here. So here I use camera raw for this image. Sorry, it's loading. So you can actually do any kind of design. You can add colors. You can be creative with your designs. It's fun to be creative. You might have clients that want different kind of designs in different ways. So you can decide to use the same image for so many designs. So what I did here was to use contrast as 58, texture 36, clarity 41, exposure 0.75. So as usual, my text, what I do is, sorry, it's loading. My text for my shades of Madi, what I do is to use Montserrat medium. Tracking distance is 1820. Size is 3.07 rather. Then this image here too, I created it. Now for the major part of it, how to create this. So I simply created an ellipse, which is a circle. So when you create the circle, you will now create, let me show you the effects I use here. When you create a circle, you add stroke. I first added bevel and emboss. I used style, inner bevel, technique smooth, depth 43, size 13, soften 9, and you can see the remaining here. Then you can work around the colors here to get your choice. So for the stroke, I used size 4, color white, position outside, opacity 100. Then I added a little bit in inner shadow. As you can see here, you can see the inner shadow kind of here, to make it have that kind of depth. Then opacity 4, blend mode, multiply, distance 54, choke 0, size 33. Then my favorite color that I use most times on my designs, gradient overlay. So I used, at 0 distance, I use F7971E. Then at 100% location, I use FFD 200 to get this. And I added drop shadow. You can see opacity 100, distance 10, spread 0, size 16, noise 0. Then you can decide to use any text you want to use. Then for the same thing, I use the same overlay, the same gradient here, but I changed the gradient color for this one. So you can decide to use any gradient you want here. Then for the last one I'm going to do now is the after effects. As you can see, I created this text using the font Sugar Bomb. Now for this effects here, I used stroke, size 7, opacity 100, then graded overlay. I used my choice. I used the background color to create this overlay. Then I added a little bit of outer glow to it too. Opacity 40, noise 0. I changed the color to green to blend with the background. So what I did here again to make it have that 3D kind of look, I duplicated the layer beneath it. So I did bevel. Let me show you bevel and embossed. I use inner bevel smooth, depth 100, size 16, soften 0. Color, I use blend mode, highlight mode, screen. Color, I used yellow. Opacity 89. Then I added contour also. Contour range 100%. Then drop shadow, as you can see here, 7438. So I now shifted you can see if I shift this text like this, you can see it's coming like this. You can decide to shift the text anywhere you want, so you can have that 3D kind of look. You can see it's that simple. It's very simple. So that was how I got my designs. So for this one I used autograph personal regular. Then I applied gradient tool to this too. Then for this one I created a rectangle, 0 fill, 1 pt size for stroke, and I added the gradient stroke again to it. Let me show you here. Let me show you like this. Rectangle. Sorry, it's loading. Sorry, that's it. So I added, let me show you what I did here. I added stroke. Instead of using color, I use gradients. So I used the one I used for the round for the eclipse gradient. I use the same settings for everything. Then I added outer glow to it to make it kind of glow, using this color purple or brown or kind of purple, orange rather, orange.